Welcome back to another Zero Context Patreon Stack. Advertising my Patreon content one out of context theater moment at a time. I finally finished up the Zodiac series with 13 Rising. Then I jumped into the final book of Maze Runner, The Death Cure. Our sun is only going dark because the master is going to travel through it. Okay, but ignoring how freaking stupid it is to simply turn off the sun. If you can turn it off, then there must be some way to turn it back on. To save Nishi, you'll damn us all. I'm legit confused about this, mainly because Ro has literally nothing to do here. This entire series, she's been kept busy with stuff that basically amounts to busy work, while everybody else around her does stuff that's way more impactful. Even if she were to be captured, tortured for info, or even killed, I doubt that anything that she'd know would be that great. Her death would be sad and drag on morale, but hey, planets have been exploding. There's a plague going on Pisces. Morale would have been low regardless of if Ro lived or died. On the rough streets of Ares, people grew buff enough to hold their own. On the swampy Orochimaruan planet, teens developed scaly skin when they reached puberty that protected them from the bites of most poisonous creatures. At this point, these people are so far removed from any bits of the humans that left planet Earth. If these people continue to evolve along this path, they will eventually reach a point where there's 13 distinct species that cannot possibly interbreed. I glimpse a young Tarian girl eagerly unwrapping a purple chew candy as a treat, stand and shoving it into her mouth. Slow down, chides her mom as the girl's jaw works extra hard to eat it quickly. When she swallows, her parents and the salesperson all stare at her expectantly. Suddenly, she releases a shockingly loud burp, blasting her parents' faces with purple smoke. The little girl and the Leon salesperson are in hysterics, but her parents don't look amused. I look at the holographic sign over the stand. Purple or bulls, she'll burp purple smoke. Was this necessary to the continuation of the plot? Don't get me wrong, because I love some good world building, but I feel like the author is mainly using a lot of this as padding to hide the fact that she barely has a plot. It's actually pretty liberating not to care about myself anymore. I'm free to run my body down completely because I have no future to save it for. I legit wish that we saw this in the second book, rather than basically 3 books of Root doing the same stupid stuff over and over. I think it would have fixed a lot of problems in the book. I get that the author was going for this entire kill them with kindness thing by intentionally making Ro cancer, and maybe this is simply the fact that I'm an Aries, but after the first betrayal, fuck that and fuck those guys. Oh, I'm sorry you want my advice after the 3rd planet blew up? Why the fuck didn't you listen to me when I tried to fucking warn you about the 2nd? Mom rescued Stan from his fate that day, but she didn't rescue me from mine. In fact, she built it for me, like an animal bred for slaughter. My whole life I assumed she was a problem, but what if I was wrong? What if it's me? No, it's the parents' job to love and nurture their children. Your mother trained you out for a goddamn war from the moment you were conceived. Cassandra is a flat-out terrible person. And I also didn't realize how hard it would be to sit across from the family I deceived and the guardian whose secret I revealed. I would also like to remind her that every single one of these people put their own self-interest ahead of her physical and emotional well-being at some point in this story. They're so quick to judge her for jumping ship to the singular person that's been upfront and honest with her, while they themselves have lied to her, manipulated her, threw her under the goddamn bus time and time again. She doesn't owe them anything, and the fact that they're struggling to understand any of why Ro finally snapped is so infuriating to me. It turns out that Ezra already sent his son the blueprints for the Black Bullet ships, and he upgraded Nox's engine to equal their speed. Plus, given that the Librarian talisman is built into its brain, Equinox has the only size shield that stands a chance against Aquarius. Hassan shared the Master's engine designs with every house, so hopefully our whole fleet will be able to match the Mara speed. Once we have Orochimaru, will veil from the sun and hide him on Equinox until the Zode have defeated Aquarius. How convenient, not only for the blueprints, but also the time to fully upgrade the ship. The plan is for Hassan to keep Nox aloft while the rest of us pile into the 2 small black bullet ships we tugged with us from Ares. There's one on either side of the Equinox. Ezra, Geyser, and I will take one, while Nishi, Scarlet, and Mateus take the other. Pandora will stay on the ship with Hassan. She's our designated survivor. You know what? I am so over Ro being the designated anything anymore. I'll take it. The Earthlings who settled the Zodiac also left most of their people behind on a dying Earth, and aren't you better off for it? I'm not gonna lie, but trying to compare the two situations literally a million years apart is hardly fair. Yes, in the beginning, the people who founded the Zodiac plans benefited from not having a bunch of negative Nancy's hanging around, naysaying every single thing that they wanted to do. As a species, they flourished because of this. However, that was obviously a long time ago. Any benefit that humanity might have gained from leaving those people behind has long since died out. Siphoned. Why do you think I've been waiting around all this time? The ritual requires someone strong enough in the Psi who can pull on synergy from the whole Zodiac, she explains. But if the process kills you, it will all be a loss. You must survive it. Literally, the entire fate of the known universe is resting on you doing the thing that'll probably kill you. It'll kill all of us, should you fail. Good luck, babe. I'm sorry, Hassan, I say, falling back a step. You mean a lot to me, and I wouldn't have made it this far without you, but I'm not the same person you knew. And the truth is, I suck in a quick breath because the fissure in my chest is widening again. I'm not in love with you anymore. Good. It's about time she actually broke up with him. Yes, he's agreeing to do this one last thing for her, but holy shirt balls. I don't think for a nanosecond that he wouldn't do this if their galaxy and lives were on the line. He's shown her time and time again that where his loyalties lie, himself and his own self-interest. Most weapons won't function here due to the world's different scientific and metaphysical laws, says Ferrez, breaking the uncomfortable silence. We've tested this shrill, and it won't sound in this air. Fine won't distribute properly in this atmosphere, says Hassan as he directs himself to the Leon and Scorp guardians who are scowling at him. This continues on with each house sounding off about how every single one of their signature weapons are technology-based. The house who decide to focus on kung fu and the house who decide that old-fashioned swords are the way to go. We are so fucking ready. I'm shocked to see tears streaming down Orias's snakeskin cheeks. You thought that I was joking when I gave him the nickname of Orochimaru, didn't you? The scarab's poison can't be extracted from a machine, he says softly. I'm sorry. Hassan doesn't answer him, and he keeps trying to retrieve Neith like a healer who won't give up on his patient. It's a shitty robot who can't have his memory chip extracted and put into a new robot. Like, everybody fucking knows how this works. And it's weird that the author actively chose to write in a death for a fucking robot. You would think that almost 4 weeks in this white box made humble boy, but you seem more arrogant than ever. I'm sorry, did you think that somehow locking a literal child into a padded box for a month was somehow going to yield positive results? That Tom would walk out, shake your hand, and thank you for all of the hard work that you've done? Back in the Scourge, why did you lie that there'd be a cure at the safe haven? Ratman shrugged. I don't think it was a lie at all, but completing the trials by arriving at the safe haven, you helped us collect more data, and because of that there will be a cure, eventually, for everyone. I feel like this was written by somebody who doesn't understand science that well. This has been since highlighted by the COVID pandemic. We didn't force people sick with COVID to undergo similar trials. No, we figured out how to inject dead microbes of the COVID virus into people, which lets our bodies understand how to defeat it should they come across it in the future. And the fact that the author seems to think that they can develop a cure by forcing 12-year-olds to fight murder robots is so laughably insane. The only name of note is Newt. Even the narration has passed the point of caring about anybody else if they weren't already named. Newt tells Tom to suck it up and deal with it. He's quick to remind everybody that it's a stroke of luck that he's even alive right now anyway, which is fair. Tom looks over to the girls where they're all comforting the one who was told that she wasn't immune. These are called launchers. These girls will not hesitate to fire them if any of you cause trouble. The weapon won't kill you, but trust me when I say that you'll live the most uncomfortable 5 minutes of your life. What's going on? Thomas asked, surprised at how little fear he felt. You just told us we could make this choice ourselves. Why the sudden army? Because I don't trust you, Jansen paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. We hoped you would do things voluntarily once your memories are back. It would just make things easier. But I never said we still didn't need you. What a surprise, Minho said. You lied again. I haven't lied about a thing. You made your decision and now live with the consequences. Johnson pointed at the door. Guards, escort Thomas and the others to their rooms where they can dwell on their mistakes until tomorrow morning's test. Use whatever force is necessary. It's hardly a choice if you force them to choose the other option at literal gunpoint. You told us we didn't have to. I'm afraid we don't have much of a choice, Jansen replied. The time for lies is over. Nothing's going to work with you three still in the dark. I'm sorry, we need to do this. Newt, of everyone, you will benefit the most from a cure after all. They're simply going to force the boys to go through with it. Don't announce your intention to the people who have been fighting you every goddamn step of the way. Drag the food, transport them when they're asleep. Boom. Memories restored. This is stupid. In "This is stupid, this is pointless," Tom, Newt, and Minho start to fight. However, as you can imagine, 5 heavily armed guards up against 3 unarmed half-starved teenagers is hardly a fair fight. They literally drag Tom kicking and screaming to the room where Brenda is working. However, they encounter not one single person, and the room is unlocked. They're starting to think that the entire thing is nothing but a setup. What's worse is that most of the weapons are covered in dust, with only a few of them absent. Brenda is also growing heavily suspicious and mentions that what the guard said, that at the last minute most of the guards were pulled away for something else, which makes sense if they would have grabbed weapons. But they all have weapons that they use for day-to-day stuff, so where are those weapons? How stupid can you get? Thomas yelled, pinning Minho's arms behind his back. We're running from at least one enemy, maybe two, and you guys are going to brawl? He started it. Minho snapped, spraying spit on Brenda. She wiped her face. What are you, 8 years old? She asked. You've heard of friend zoning, but here we have mummy zoning. They asked Jorge to explain what happened, but before he can do that, one of the boys picks a fight with him. 2 seconds! Can you please go 2 flipping seconds without picking an effing fight? When it came down to it, Chuck was the most vivid reason that he despised Wicket. How could any good come from killing a kid like Chuck? He finally continued, I watched as that kid died. In his last few seconds, there was pure terror in his eyes. You can't do that. You can't do that to the person. I don't care what anyone tells me. I don't care how many people go crazy and die. I don't care if the whole Chuck human race ends. Even if that was the only thing that had to happen to find the cure, it'd still be against it. Thomas, relax. You're going to squeeze your own fingers off. Wicked killed most of the literal children in the dual experiment, but hey, at least we're finally on the same page here. The ends aren't exactly justifying the means here. We all know Wicked's fancy cure is never going to work, and I wouldn't want it to. Not much to live for on this piece of clunk planet. I feel like Wicked is more of the end result of people not giving a shit, so organizations are coming up to do all of the experiments that they'd always wanted to do, but couldn't because of those pesky ethics. The flare is simply an excuse. Mainly because, as I've been saying this entire time, immunities and disease cures don't fucking work like that. Die? No, he spent a week or so in the infirmary recovering from a broken cheekbone, but that was nothing compared to the psychological damage. They used him to kill Chuck because the psychs thought the pattern would be valuable. It was all planned. They forced Chuck to move in front of you. Again, how the fuck is this helping them to figure out how to cure a brain-eating virus? Hey, all I know is that Wicked has one directive, to find a cure, and it's pretty obvious that it's never going to happen. If we had their money, their resources, we could use it to really help, to protect the healthy. I thought you'd want that. Anybody who's taken a 6th grade biology class could have fucking told you that. Whatever it is that they're doing, they're not trying to find a cure. They are simply running the experiments that they couldn't do up until now because of those pesky medical ethics. Thomas fought desperately against it, trying to get control of his muscles, but something foreign had taken over his body. Thomas, they've got you, Brenda yelled. Fight it. Or, hear me out, everybody else could fucking do something here. This is so fucking stupid. Thomas realized that although it was possible he could get hurt by the fleeing crowd, he really had nothing to worry about. He was immune. The rest of the people in the shop had freaked out knowing the virus was so close, and understandably odds were at least one of them had caught it, but as long as he could stay out of the way of the commotion, he was probably safe right where he was. This is giving me some serious PTSD flashbacks to the actual pandemic and how little concern some people had for their own safety. That is, until they were told that there was a COVID outbreak. I'm mainly so floored over how accurate that all of this predicted the actual pandemic, despite the fact that it was written 9 years before. There was something sadistic in Red Shirt's eyes. Context. Red Shirt is the guy who was testing everybody in the cafe. The opposite side of Brenda's I'm simply trying to survive are complete sociopaths who get off on the pain and suffering of others. And let's be honest here, there are way more of those kind of people who are running things, because if people like Brenda were in charge, things would have never gotten this bad to start with. Join my Patreon as if you remember to access all of the same amazing content you love on Tumblr. However, for only $1 a month, you can join my Patreon and unlock all of this month's book snark, as well as early access to my free daily snark. I'll see you next month, guys.